My name is Amber, and I've always been the other daughter. You know, the one who gets mentioned as an afterthought, if at all. Every Saturday, I drag myself to my parents' house for our traditional family dinner, though lately I've been finding more and more excuses to skip them. Today was no different. I parked my car in front of their modest suburban home and took a deep breath before walking in. As expected, my older sister Lisa was already there, her husband Tom standing beside her while their kids, Emma and Jack, ran around the living room. "Amber, you finally made it," my mom said, barely looking up from adjusting the flower centerpiece. No hug, no real welcome. "Hey, Mom, Dad," I nodded toward my father, who was busy talking with Tom about some sports game. "Did you hear about Lisa's parent-teacher conference?" Mom immediately launched into sister worship mode. "The teacher said Emma is reading 2 grade levels above her age. And Jack's soccer coach thinks he could make the competitive team next year." Lisa beamed, soaking up the attention like a sponge. "Well, I've been using those special reading cards with Emma every night, and I drive Jack to extra practice 3 times a week." I quietly took my seat at the table, my existence barely registered. No one asked about my week, my job, or my life. They never do. What they didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was that 3 months ago, I closed a major project at work that saved our biggest client from disaster. I received a $50,000 bonus, a promotion to senior project manager, and a salary increase that would make Tom's big income look like pocket change. "Pass the potatoes, Amber," Lisa said, giving me that look, the one that said, "Poor Amber, still single, still renting, still a nobody." I passed the potatoes and took a sip of wine. Another secret of mine? I asked my friend Rachel, a real estate agent, to help me find an apartment to buy. I had enough saved for a down payment, and with my new salary, a mortgage would be no problem. But why tell them? They'd find some way to make it about Lisa. Or they'd act surprised that I could afford it, which would be even worse. The rest of dinner passed in typical fashion, more gushing about Lisa, more talk about Tom's job, more stories about the perfect children. I stayed quiet, letting their words wash over me without impact. Their opinions had stopped mattering to me long ago. A month after that dinner, Rachel called me with exciting news. She'd found the perfect apartment, a 2-bedroom corner unit with a balcony and modern kitchen in an up-and-coming neighborhood. I toured it that evening and fell in love immediately. "This is it, Rachel," I said, running my hand along the marble countertop. "I want to make an offer." 2 weeks later, I signed the mortgage papers. I was now a homeowner. The feeling was indescribable: pride, accomplishment, freedom. I thought about telling my family, but decided to wait for the next Saturday dinner. It would be nice to have some good news to share for once. When Saturday rolled around, I drove to my parents' house, my news burning in my chest. But when I walked in, something was different. There was an unusual buzz of excitement in the air. Lisa's kids were bouncing around more than usual, and my parents were beaming. "What's going on?" I asked, hanging up my jacket. Mom and Dad exchanged gleeful looks. "We've made a decision," Dad announced. "We're all going on a family vacation to Hawaii. You can come, right?" I thought about it. I hadn't taken a vacation in 2 years, and my new position had just started. No major projects were on the horizon for a few weeks. "Yeah, I can make it work," I said. Mom's face instantly transformed into a smile. "Wonderful. The whole family together in Hawaii, it'll be perfect." Her reaction caught me off guard. She seemed genuinely happy that I was coming along. It was a nice change, and for a moment, I allowed myself to feel included. "We leave in 2 weeks," Dad explained. "We've been planning this for a while, but wanted to make sure everyone could go before we told you." I sat down, my own news temporarily forgotten. A family vacation could be nice, I thought. Maybe things could be different away from our usual routines. Maybe they'd see me differently. Dinner proceeded with everyone talking about Hawaii, what to pack, places to visit, activities to try. For once, I wasn't completely ignored, though most questions directed at me were practical rather than personal. "Amber, do you have enough vacation days?" Dad asked. Yes, I can take 2 weeks, I said. I decided to keep my apartment news for after the vacation. Let Hawaii be the focus for now. My new home would still be there when we got back. The following Saturday, I arrived at my parents' house for dinner, expecting more excited chatter about our upcoming Hawaii trip. Instead, I found Lisa sitting at the table looking miserable, her eyes puffy from crying. The kids were unusually quiet, coloring at the coffee table. What happened? I asked, setting down my purse. Mom and Dad exchanged worried glances. Lisa sniffled dramatically before answering. Tom and I had a huge fight, she said, her voice cracking. He refuses to pay for my trip to Hawaii. He says I'm not so tired from sitting at home doing nothing and don't deserve a vacation. I bit my tongue to stop myself from pointing out that Lisa actually didn't do much around the house. Tom had hired a maid last year because Lisa claimed housework gave her migraines. So you're not coming to Hawaii? I asked Lisa. She shook her head sadly, not unless Tom changes his mind, which he won't. He's being so stubborn. It's okay, Dad patted Mom's hand. We'll plan another family trip later in the year. This won't be our only chance. The rest of the dinner was somber, with everyone consoling Lisa about her controlling husband. I kept quiet, feeling a strange mix of sympathy and irritation. On one hand, Tom shouldn't unilaterally decide how family money gets spent. On the other hand, I knew Lisa well enough to guess there was more to this story. Over the next week, I took care of my vacation preparations. I requested 2 weeks off work, which my boss approved immediately, grateful for my recent project success. I packed my suitcase, made arrangements for my mail, and mentally prepared for 10 days with my parents, without Lisa as a buffer. The day before our departure, Mom called to confirm our plans. We've booked 2 rooms, she said. One for your father and me, and a single for you. We got standard rooms, nothing fancy, but they'll be comfortable. Sounds perfect, I said, secretly relieved we weren't sharing a room. I'll meet you at the airport tomorrow morning. After hanging up, I looked around my nearly empty old apartment. Most of my things were already moved to my new place, but I'd kept enough here to maintain appearances until after the vacation. I still hadn't told my family about buying an apartment. I'd decided to surprise them after we returned from Hawaii. The next morning, I met my parents at the airport. We checked in, boarded the flight, and 5 hours later, we were landing in Honolulu. The air was warm and fragrant when we stepped off the plane, and despite my reservations about spending so much time with my parents, I felt a wave of excitement. Our hotel was about 20 minutes from the airport, a mid-range place with a decent-sized pool and beach access. During check-in, I chatted with the receptionist, a friendly woman named Kai. We're fully booked for the standard rooms, she told me. Very lucky you made reservations when you did. We only have our luxury penthouses available now, and those are quite a bit more expensive. I nodded, taking the keycard she handed me. Thanks for the information. My room was simple but clean, with a queen bed, small balcony, and a bathroom with a shower. After unpacking, I changed into shorts and a t-shirt and met my parents by the pool for a drink. We spent that day and the next exploring the hotel grounds, swimming in the ocean, and adjusting to the time difference. It was actually pleasant. My parents were more relaxed here, less focused on comparing me to Lisa, and I found myself enjoying their company more than I had in years. But on our 3rd day in Hawaii, everything changed. I was applying sunscreen in my room, preparing for a morning at the beach, when there was a loud knock on my door. When I opened it, I found my parents standing there with worried expressions. Behind them stood Lisa, looking frazzled, with Emma and Jack clutching her hands. Lisa, I said, stunned, what are you doing here? Lisa collapsed dramatically onto my bed. Tom and I had another huge fight. I couldn't stay in that house another minute. So I took some money from his wallet and bought tickets for me and the kids. You stole money from Tom? I asked, unable to hide my shock. Lisa glared at me. It's our money, even if he controls it all. I deserved this vacation, and so did the kids. Mom nodded supportively. Of course you did, sweetheart. But where are you staying? I asked, looking at their luggage. did you book a room?" Lisa and my parents exchanged glances. "That's the problem," Lisa said, her voice suddenly small. "I had enough for the flights, but not for a hotel room. I thought maybe." The realization of what was happening hit me like a bucket of cold water. I remembered what Kai had told me at check-in. "All the standard rooms are booked. There's nothing available except the expensive penthouses." "Exactly," Dad said, now looking directly at me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. The room fell silent, everyone was staring at me with expectant expressions. Finally, Mom broke the silence. "Amber, you need to pack your things." "What?" I asked, certain I'd misheard. "Pack your things," she repeated firmly. "Lisa and the children need your room." I looked at their faces, Mom's determined, Dad's expectant, Lisa's entitled, and felt a surge of anger. "Where exactly am I supposed to go?" I asked, crossing my arms. Dad shrugged. "You could find another hotel, or fly home early if you can't find anything. Lisa deserves this vacation more than you do," Mom added, as if that settled everything. "She's been through so much with Tom." I stared at them in disbelief. "Are you serious right now? You want me to give up my room, that I've already paid for and am currently staying in, so Lisa can have it? After she stole money and showed up unannounced?" "That's enough," Mom's voice was sharp, "this isn't up for discussion." And then, to my absolute shock, she walked over to my closet, grabbed my suitcase, and began throwing my clothes into it. "Mom, stop it," I yelled, moving to take the suitcase from her. But she ignored me, continuing to toss my belongings haphazardly into the bag. When it was full, she zipped it shut and placed it in the hallway outside my room. "There," she said, "now Lisa and the children can settle in." I stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Lisa was already directing the kids to put their backpacks on the bed, my bed. Dad was moving my toiletries from the bathroom counter into a plastic bag. I could have fought back. I could have called the front desk and had them removed, since the room was in my name. I could have created a scene that would have been talked about by hotel staff for years to come. But in that moment, looking at these people who were supposed to be my family, I felt something inside me break and then reform into something harder, clearer. Without a word, I picked up my purse, turned, and walked out, leaving my suitcase in the hallway. Behind me, I could hear my parents and Lisa already discussing sleeping arrangements. My first instinct had been to book the next flight home, but as I approached the front desk, a better idea formed in my mind. I suddenly remembered the luxurious penthouses Kai had mentioned. Kai looked up as I approached, her friendly smile faltering when she saw my expression. "Ms. Wilson, is everything all right?" she asked. "Not really," I said honestly, "but I'm about to fix that." "You mentioned you have penthouses available?" Her eyes widened slightly. "Yes, we do, but they're significantly more expensive than standard rooms." "How much more expensive?" She quoted a figure that would have made me faint 2 years ago. Now, I didn't even blink. "I'll take one," I said, "your best one, please." I followed a bellhop who had retrieved my suitcase from the hallway outside my old room. We took a private elevator to the top floor, and when he opened the door to my new accommodations, I couldn't help but gasp. The penthouse was stunning, spacious, elegantly decorated, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the ocean. The living area flowed into a dining space and fully equipped kitchen. Beyond that was a massive bedroom with the biggest bed I'd ever seen. I opened a complimentary bottle of champagne, poured myself a glass, and stepped out onto the terrace. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Leaning against the railing, I toasted to myself. "To knowing your worth," I said aloud, then took a long sip. That night, I slept better than I had in years, sprawled across a king-size bed with sheets that felt like clouds. In the morning, I woke to a gentle knock, room service, delivering a complimentary breakfast. After eating on my terrace, I decided to head down to the beach. As I crossed the lobby, I spotted my parents and Lisa with the kids near the entrance. They were heading out, presumably to find a cheap restaurant for breakfast since the hotel's was too expensive. Lisa spotted me first. Amber, there you are, she waved, as if we were just ordinary family members running into each other on vacation. I approached them slowly, keeping my expression neutral. So, my mom said with a smug smile, where did you end up sleeping last night? Did you find another hotel? Dad at least had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable. Before I could answer, Kai appeared beside me. Ms. Wilson, I wanted to confirm your cabana reservation for this afternoon. As our VIP guest, we've reserved the best location on the beach for you. My family's expression shifted from smug to confused. VIP guest? My mom repeated. Kai smiled brightly. Yes, Ms. Wilson is staying in our premier penthouse suite. As such, she has access to all our exclusive amenities, including private dining in our gourmet restaurant. Would your family be joining you for lunch today, Ms. Wilson? The looks on their faces were priceless. Lisa's jaw actually dropped. Mom's eyes bulged. Dad looked like he'd swallowed something sour. No, I said calmly, they won't be joining me. Very well, enjoy your breakfast at Rico's, Kai said to my family, referring to the cheap diner down the street that tourists on a budget frequented. With a casual wave to my stunned family, I continued toward the beach, feeling lighter than I had in years. I spent that day enjoying every luxury the hotel had to offer. I had a massage at the spa, lounged in my private cabana where attentive staff brought me tropical drinks, and swam in the ocean when the sun became too warm. Not once did I think about my family. That evening, I returned to my penthouse to shower and change for dinner. The hotel's gourmet restaurant had a dress code, and I'd packed a simple black dress that would be perfect. I was just putting on earrings when there was a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw my family, all of them, including the kids, standing in the hallway with their luggage. I seriously considered pretending I wasn't there, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door, but blocked the entrance with my body. What do you want? I asked. Without waiting for an invitation, my mother pushed past me into the penthouse, followed by my father, Lisa, and the children. They stood in my living room, gawking at the luxurious surroundings. Mom snapped out of her daze first. Amber, we've decided that we're going to stay here with you for the rest of the vacation. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. Excuse me? We've checked out of our rooms, Dad explained, as if this were a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Lisa and the kids checked out of your old room too. We'll all stay here, Lisa added, already eyeing the massive sofa like she was measuring it for sleeping space. There's more than enough room. I laughed, I couldn't help it. No, I said when I could speak again, you are not staying here. This is my room that I'm paying for, and you're not welcome in it. Lisa stepped forward, her voice taking on the wheedling tone she used when she wanted something. Come on, Amber, don't be selfish. Look at all this space. We're family. Family? I repeated, feeling my anger rising. Family doesn't kick someone out of their room. Family doesn't make someone else's vacation their problem. Family asks about your life and celebrates your successes. This is ridiculous, Lisa snapped. We already checked out of our rooms. That sounds like a you problem, I said, echoing Dad's words from before. Now please leave before I call security. They didn't move. Instead, they started arguing loudly, all talking over each other. Lisa's voice rose above the others. You're being incredibly selfish right now. I have children. I picked up the hotel phone, I'm calling the front desk. That shut them up temporarily. I asked for security to come to my room to escort some unwanted guests out. When I hung up, the look on my family's faces had shifted from entitled anger to panic. You can't be serious, Mom said. Completely serious, I replied. But where will we go? Lisa asked, her voice cracking. All the cheap rooms are booked. There was a knock at the door. Hotel security had arrived quickly. I opened it to find Kai herself with 2 security officers. Is there a problem, Ms. Wilson? She asked. Yes, these people need to leave my room and they're refusing. Kai turned to my family. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to come with me. Wait, Mom said desperately, can't we get our old rooms back? Kai shook her head sympathetically. I'm sorry, but as I explained when you checked out, those rooms have already been reassigned to new guests. They're occupied now. As they followed Kai out, my mother turned back to me. This isn't over, Amber. I closed the door behind them without responding and walked out to my terrace. My phone buzzed with text messages from my mother. We're at the Palm Budget Motel. 1 room for all 5 of us. The bathroom smells like mold. I hope you're happy. And from Lisa. The kids are crying because their beds are dirty. How can you do this to them? I turned off my phone and set it aside. Their attempts to manipulate me might have worked once, but not anymore. I was only responsible for myself, and for the first time in my life, I was putting myself first. The rest of my Hawaiian vacation was blissful. I deliberately kept my phone turned off most of the time, only checking it once a day to make sure there wasn't an actual emergency. The angry messages from my family continued for 2 days, then abruptly stopped. I later found out why. A hotel staff member told me they'd checked out of the budget motel and flown back to the mainland early. My mother had left a message for me at the front desk that said only, "We're going home, hope you're satisfied." I was, actually, more than satisfied. I spent my remaining days swimming in the ocean, hiking to a waterfall, taking a sunset cruise, and generally doing whatever I pleased. Without the weight of family expectations and judgment, I felt like a different person, lighter, happier, free. As my plane took off, I watched Hawaii grow smaller beneath me, feeling not sad but resolute. This vacation had been a turning point. There was no going back to the way things were before. When I landed, I took a taxi directly to my new apartment. It was still sparsely furnished, but it was mine. I walked from room to room, making mental notes of what I still needed to buy. Tomorrow, I'd go shopping for a proper dining table, maybe some artwork for the walls. I had time to make this place truly mine. 2 weeks after returning from Hawaii, I was settled into my new apartment and back at work. I'd thrown myself into a new project, using the confidence I'd gained from standing up to my family to speak up more in meetings and take on additional responsibilities. My phone rang one afternoon. It was my mother's number. I'd been expecting this call eventually, but still felt a flutter of anxiety as I answered. "Hello? Amber, where are you?" Mom's voice was accusing. "We went to your old apartment, and they said you don't live there anymore." "That's right," I said calmly, "I moved." There was a pause, then my mother spoke again, her tone suddenly sweetly curious. "You moved? Where to? Can we have your new address?" I think it's time we all talked and made up. I could hear Lisa in the background, whispering something urgently. "I bought my own place," I said, "with a mortgage." There was a stunned silence on the other end, followed by muffled exclamations. "You bought an apartment?" Mom finally said. "When? How?" "About 2 months ago. I got a promotion and a significant raise last year. Plus a bonus for a major project I completed." "Why didn't you tell us?" There was hurt in her voice, but I wasn't moved by it. "When would I have told you? During all those family dinners where you only talked about Lisa? Or maybe during the vacation where you kicked me out of my own hotel room?" Another silence, longer this time. "We should meet and talk about this," Mom said eventually. "Family shouldn't be estranged." "What's your address?" "We'll come over this weekend." I took a deep breath. "No, Mom, I'm not giving you my address, and I don't want to meet right now. I need space from all of you." "Amber," her voice turned sharp. "We're your family. You can't just cut us off." "Actually, I can. And until you all understand why your behavior has been unacceptable, that's exactly what I'm going to do." I hung up before she could respond, my heart pounding, but my resolve firm. Over the next several months, my family tried everything to re-establish contact. They called, texted, even sent emails to my work address. Sometimes they were angry, sometimes pleading, sometimes manipulative. I deleted most without reading them fully. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard that Lisa and Tom were having serious marital problems. The Hawaii incident had been the last straw, and they were now headed for divorce. I felt a brief flash of sympathy for the kids, but reminded myself that Lisa's choices weren't my responsibility. As for me, I was thriving. I'd been promoted again, I'd made new friends through a hiking club, and I'd even started dating someone I met at a work conference. My apartment was fully furnished now, decorated exactly how I wanted it. It was my sanctuary. Sometimes, I thought about reconciling with my family. Maybe someday I would, if they showed genuine remorse and a willingness to change. But I wasn't holding my breath, and I wasn't putting my life on hold waiting for it to happen.